going to start recording right now. So this is going to be the second part of the session for November the 11th for the ELT125 section 2. So what I'm trying to share is a slide that says phonological processes. Okay, so are you seeing the presentation, the PowerPoint slide that says phonological processes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, excellent. So, Sebastian, there's a section that if you could read it aloud, that would be wonderful. It's one paragraph, starts in and finishes in processes. Could you read that aloud, please?
Yes. In the
Thank you.
rapid flow of normal speech, sounds change partially or entirely. The features of sounds in the phonological system of a language can be affected due to the process that are known as phonological processes.
Exactly. My bad, that are known, right? So let me fix that. Okay, so basically, whenever we speak in a rapid flow or at a normal pace, we connect sounds. Sounds are linked to the to other ones. For example, in the second line, as Sebastian read, partially or entirely, or entirely. So there could be some sort of linking of the final consonant sound, right? The final consonant sound of or and the initial vowel sound of n, right? So we might link this or entirely. The same line that Sebastian read, the features of sounds, features of sounds, sounds in, the features of sounds in the phonological system. So this sounds like one big chunk. The features of sounds in the phonological system, right? We don't sound. I mean, when we read this, we don't want to sound like a robot, so we don't read the features of sounds, right? We connect the sounds. So that's basically the idea of phonological processes. Sometimes sounds are linked, right? Are connected. Sometimes some sounds disappear because, you know, I don't know, sometimes whenever we have like too many consonant sounds, like for example, when we think about the word, I don't know, sixth, right? The word sixth, right? The ordinal number, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 has like a C, and then I guess this one. So there are many sixth. There are many consonant sounds that, together. It's a cluster of consonant sounds. So sometimes we get rid of one. Sixth, 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 sixth. Sometimes some people get rid of this one, right? Sixth. Sometimes people get rid of that one. So the idea is when we speak, sounds affect each other. Sometimes they disappear, sometimes they are linked or connected. Sometimes they assume or assimilate features that are present in other sounds. Right, so that's what we're going to be doing now. We're going to be working with these features of connected speech that are phonological processes that affect the message or the speech, and also, of course, affect the way we perceive or understand the message. If we listen to someone who's speaking, as you are now, listen to me, sometimes the sounds are shortened, sometimes the sounds are produced in a different way. Whenever you hear someone speaking that's a native speaker, like someone from England or something from Ireland or someone from Canada, right? They pronounce in a different way, they connect sounds in a different way, they link sounds. So If you want to sound more native-like, or if you want to improve your listening skills when you're listening to someone, we need to pay attention to these phonological processes, right? Some of them, so when we talk about phonological processes, basically we're talking about the same thing when we say features of connected speech. Okay, and we have among them assimilation, dissimilation, epenthesis, or also basically insertion, right? Elision, metathesis, and many other, right? Many other phonological processes. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be focusing on assimilation. Okay, assimilation is going to be the first phonological process that we're going to be paying attention today. I'm going to ask Patricia to read aloud the information provided here in this slide. Patricia, can you do it, please?
Okay. Assimilation. A phonological process by which one sound becomes more similar to a nearby sound in one more features. In bath, E will be bilabial stop voiced. Uh, N will be alveolar nasal voiced. Assimilation may occur between two adjacent sounds, contiguous, or at a distance, non-contiguous.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Patricia. So when we talk about assimilation, it's basically one sound acquiring certain characteristics or features of another one. Um, in the case of emboth, right? Emboth. I know that is an alveolar, nasal, and voiced consonant sound, right? In. And I know that bath, it's a bilabial, stop, voiced consonant sound, right? Now, when we say in bath, when we say it quickly, right? In bath, the tongue, when it's producing this consonant sound, it's getting ready for the next one, right? The next one, which is a bilabial sound. So instead of producing an alveolar sound exactly as an alveolar sound, right? The lips are getting ready for this sound. So this sound becomes, sorry, this sound becomes similar to the following one. So instead of saying in, we, or some speakers may say imbath, 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 right? So this becomes before the presence of b. So the reason is basically that one characteristic of this element, b, is being assimilated by the previous sound. Which characteristic? Bilabial, stop, or voiced? It's going to be, in this case, the place of articulation, right? Bilabial. So becomes it's not alveolar anymore, but it becomes a bilabial sound. Okay, so that's the idea of assimilation. When there are two sounds and there is a process called assimilation, some characteristics, one characteristic or all other characteristics are assimilated, are shared by another sound. Okay, that's the idea. Assimilation, as Patricia read, right, can be between two adjacent sounds. I mean, they can be close to each other, next to each other, or they can be separated, non-contiguous. Okay, we're going to pay attention to one example here in the next slide. Sorry, the example is the following slide. Amaya, could you read this the information here in this slide, please?
Of course,
Thank you.
the direction of assimilation might be forward, progressive, or backward, regressive. The assimilation might be partial or total. It might occur within the same word or in between two words.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Amaya. So, what do we know about assimilation so far? We know that assimilation is a phonological process, right? We know that one, two, or more characteristics of one sound are passed, are shared, are assimilated by one sound. And we know that this process can happen between two sounds that are next to each other or two sounds that are not next to each other, right? That they are at a certain distance. What Maya read is that the direction of this process can be progressive or can be regressive, meaning the process can go from left to right when it's progressive, right? From left to right, or from right to left when it's regressive, right? So you can go forward or you can go backwards, right? In the case of the example in bath, that we have this sound being influenced by the bilabial b in bath. Do you think it's a progressive or a regressive case of assimilation? What do you think, guys? No idea? So in this case, there is a process of regressive assimilation because b is affecting the previous sound from right to left. It's going backwards. Okay, so when the assimilation is going backwards, we're talking about regressive assimilation. Okay, the assimilation can be partial or total. This is what Amaya read, right? Partial because only some characteristics are assimilated by the other sound, and total when all of the characteristics are assimilated. In the case of impath, when in became im, right? We have that became assimilating the characteristic of being bilabial, right? Which is place of articulation. Voiced wasn't assimilated because voicing, I mean, both of them are voiced. N and b are voiced, right? And this sound continues to be nasal. Is nasal. Is nasal. If you remember, the only nasal sounds that we are familiar with are n as in nine, as in mother, and as the last sound of sing or song. Right. So the only characteristic from b that was passed on to the previous sound was the characteristic of being bilabial. So this is a partial assimilation. Okay. And the other thing, the last one, the last section here in this slide is that it may occur within the same word or in between two words. So the process, the phonological process called assimilation can happen within one word or between two words. In the case in bath, it happens between two words, right? We have in, that's where the boundary is, and we have bath, and it's happening between two words. Let me show you an example in which assimilation is or takes place in within a word. Within a word. So let's take as an example the word pen. Okay, you know, the object that we use to write, to draw. Okay, so if you remember, we were dealing with what was called phonemic transcription before. Last semester, we used phonemic transcription. Phonemic transcription is the transcription that we find in a dictionary. For example, the word pen was transcribed very similar, right? Sorry, let me get this out of the way. Okay, so pen was transcribed like that using phonemic transcription, right? Phonemic transcription is very general. It doesn't provide any detail, right? It's quite general. So whenever we start learning how to transcribe a text, we use phonemic transcription, right? Now this semester, we are using phonetic transcription. So phonetic transcription is basically what we see here. It provides more detail, right? More details about the way that this word can be transcribed. So what's the difference? The phonemic transcription is very general. As you can see here, we use slashes, right? And the phonetic transcription, in the phonetic transcription, we use brackets, right? And also it contains more details. For example, in the first sound, p, p, p is an initial position, right? P is a plosive sound, and p is aspirated. How can we show that this sound, this consonant sound is aspirated? By this symbol, this diacritic mark. Diacritic mark. Diacritic right here. So this little symbol that looks like an H, that resembles an H, right? You can find it in consonant sounds like P, consonant sounds like T, and consonant sounds like K. They are plosive, right? B, it's also a plosive or stop sound. D is also a plosive or stop sound. And G is also a plosive and or stop sound. But you're not going to find the symbol after B, D, or G. Why is that? Do you have any idea? What do they have in common? What do these symbols or sounds have in common? And what do these have in common? What do you think? Any idea? No? Yes?
No, teacher.
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So P, T, and K, the ones on the left, are plosive and also voiceless. But the ones on the right, B, D, and G, even though they are stops or plosives, they are voiced. Okay? So only plosive sounds and voiceless, such as P, T, and K, are going to be aspirated. Okay? And only aspirated in initial position. Because if I take the same sound, right, and I put it at the end of a word, like top, right, when we transcribe top, top, we don't say top, top, we say top, top. It's an unreleased plosive. It doesn't have aspiration. As if we say, for example, this sound at the beginning, pot, pot, right? Pot. That is aspirated. Now I'm using slashes. I'm using the phonemic transcription. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to erase the slashes because I'm going to add additional information. I'm going to add more details, right? So this now is phonetic transcription. And I'm showing that the initial sound here, top, which is a plosive and voiceless consonant sound, is aspirated. So I'm including this little symbol, right, small symbol that is a diacritic mark, very similar to the letter H, right? And the same thing in pot. Pot, the initial sound, pot is aspirated. So I show that by using this diacritic mark right above, after, right, on the top right corner, basically. Okay, so only voiceless consonant sounds can be aspirated. Okay, so that's why we say 10, pen, pot, tanker. And in Spanish, we don't have that feature, so we don't say tener, we don't say tener, we say tener, right? We don't say tengo, we say tengo. So aspiration is part of some languages, like English. Okay, so in this transcription, pen, in this phonetic transcription of the word pen, we also have another diacritic mark, which is this one. Right above the vowel sound, right? So what that diacritic mark is telling us is that this vowel sound is nasalized. Nasalized is, it means that it's getting some characteristics from a nasal sound. Remember that nasal sounds can be can be or can be right? So in this case, we have Okay, so when you say the word pe, or when you say the word sorry, pet, or when you say the word peck, or when you say the word pen, I'm going to enclose them in slashes, right? The vowel sound is not exactly the same because the tongue is getting ready for the next sound, right? So when you say pe, pe, the vowel sound has certain, characteristics which are pure for that particular vowel sound, pe. But when we say pet, 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 the next sound is an alveolar sound. You raise your hand, and the tip of the tongue goes to the alveolar ridge, which is quite in front of your oral cavity, in front of your mouth. But when you say k, k, that is a velar sound. Your tongue back. So peck, peck, peck. The tongue is not in the same place as when you say pet, pet. Try to say pet and then peck, pet, peck, pet, peck. Pay attention to your tongue when you're saying this word and see what the tongue is when you're producing the vowel sound. Is it in the same place? When you say pet and peck, pen, peck. Yes, no, I'm not sure. I never thought about it. Wow, what a cool thing the teacher is saying.
I'm sorry, teacher. The call is a little glitchy, but I can understand the principle, and it, it, it is really impressive. I know this concept, but I don't know the name on it, so it's really interesting.
It's crazy, right? It's crazy that the tongue is when we speak is trying to adapt to this very rapid pace in which we are producing the information. So the tongue is getting ready for the next sound, right? So when we say when we say pet, and we focus on the vowel sound, the tongue is probably closer to the front part of the mouth. But when we say peck, probably the tongue, since it's getting ready for the velar sound, it's getting ready and it's going a little bit backwards. And therefore, when we say pen, this is a nasal sound. So the nasal sound is sharing some of this nasality to the vowel sound. So since it's sharing, right, since the E is assimilating this nasality, we can say that this vowel sound is nasalized. How can we show nasality? By this diacritic symbol that looks like the one we have in Spanish for the letter ñ. I don't remember the name, virgulina, virgulina, something like that. That's the technical name for that. For that symbol in Spanish. So we are always, when we're using phonetic transcription, right? Phonetic transcription, the one that uses brackets, the one that has more detailed information. We're always going to use this symbol in a vowel sound that goes before a nasal sound, before before and before we are going to use this symbol for any vowel sound that comes before. So, for example, in the word tom, we have a nasal sound in the end. So the previous vowel sound is going to have this diacritic mark above, saying that this vowel sound has been nasalized by the following sound. Okay, so this in this case, the vowel sound E, which is an open mid unrounded front vowel, is assimilating. Let's see, N is a voice, alveolar, nasal. It's assimilating this characteristic of the sound N, right? It's becoming nasalized. So it's partial because it's only one characteristic, nasality. It's not the place of articulation, it's not the voicing, it's just nasality. So it's partial. It is contiguous because the two sounds are next to each other. A is next to N, so it's contiguous, right? It is a regressive process because it's N, the one that is influencing A, right? So it's regressive. It's going backwards, right? It's going from right to left. So that's how we can define this assimilation present here within a word, because we're discussing what's going on within the word pen, right? So this assimilation is partial, it's contiguous, and regressive. So we can call this process a partial, contiguous, regressive assimilation. Okay, so for example, the word, the name Tim. If we use phonetic transcription, remember phonetic transcription, the one that provides more information, we are going to use brackets first. Brackets. Then that's the first sound, T. It's a plosive, it's voiceless, it's in initial position. So we have to use this diacritic mark, showing that it's this plosive and voiceless T is aspirated, right? Aspirated is T, T. Then we have Tim, the short, right, lax I. And finally, we have this nasal sound, this nasal voiced, right, sound. It's a bilabial voiced nasal sound. But nasal sounds are very influencing, right? They generally influence on the neighboring sounds. So in this case, this E becomes nasalized. Tim, Tim. How can we show that this vowel sound is nasalized? We add to this symbol this diacritic mark that represents nasalization. Okay, this sound, we're saying, hey, this vowel sound is nasalized. It's sharing this characteristic of the following sound, which is a nasal sound. So in this case, we're talking about partial, contiguous, regressive assimilation. Okay? For example, in the word dim, in the word dim, if we want to use again phonetic transcription, because we're adding more details, we have the symbol representing the sound D. Then again we have a short I, and again we have a voiced, a bilabial nasal m. In this case, we're not using the diacritic mark that looks like an H, because D, it is plosive or stop, but it's voiced. It's not voiceless. Okay, so we're not using this symbol. We have m, which is a voiced bilabial nasal sound, and this one is influencing the vowel sound that comes before. So therefore, we're using this diacritic mark showing that the vowel sounds nasalized. Okay, this is a partial, also partial, contiguous, because the two sounds are next to each other, regressive assimilation, because it's going backwards. It's going from right to left. I don't know if it's clear, guys, so far. This is a process of assimilation that happens within a word. Now, between words, right? For example, in the first example, we have green bells. Green, bells, right? Green bells. But when we say this quickly or at a normal pace, we say green bells, green bells, green bells. So the lips are sort of, when we say green, it's like my tongue is not going to touch the alveolar ridge, right? But I'm getting ready for the next sound, which is b, b. So green bells, this n becomes more similar to an when we are in the presence of n before a b. Right? So which element of this b is changing the previous one? N, which is an alveolar sound, becomes more like m, which is bilabial. So the element that is influencing the previous one is the place of articulation, because n becomes which is bilabial sound, right? When you say 10 boys, 10 boys, when you go quickly and you say 10 boys, 10 boys, 10 boys, 10 boys, 10 boys, 10 boys, becomes more like because before b becomes more similar to Okay, so this is an example of a regressive assimilation because it's going backwards, right? It's partial because only one characteristic of the element is being passed to the other one. Okay, and is contiguous, right? Because the two sounds are next to each other. I mean, they are in different words, but there's a boundary here. But still, when we are saying this quickly, they are next to each other. Green bells, green bells. Hyde Park, Hyde Park, Hyde Park. The next one, number 3. What do you think is happening here? Hyde, which ends in d. So we have d here. That comes before p. Hyde Park, Hyde Park, Hyde Parks, Hyde Parks, Hyde Parks, Hyde Parks. So d becomes more like a b. Hyde Parks, Hyde Park, Hyde Park. Okay, this final d here before a p sounds more like a b. Hyde Park, because we have here a bilabial sound. We're using the two lips to say park, right? Park, two lips, park. But when we say hide, the tip of the tongue is going to the to touch the alveolar ridge, right? Hide, hide. So you need to go from d to p. So the shortcut is to change this final d and make it more like a b. Hyde Park. Again, the tongue is getting ready for the next sound, right? So the next sound is influencing the previous one, right? The same thing in bath that we already covered before, right? Before b sounds more like an in bath, in bath, in bath. Okay, so this is the sort of introduction for these phonological processes that are also called features of connected speech. One of them is assimilation. Assimilation is basically one sound that is affecting another one, that is influencing another one, changing partially or completely the characteristics. For example, some sounds may be completely influenced by or partially. For example, when you say the word cats, we know that cats can be spelled, transcribed like this, right? Cats. But when you say dogs, dogs, we have essentially the same marker here for plural, right? But when we transcribe the word dogs, right? Dogs, we know that this last sound in the first case is voiceless, whereas in the second case is voiced. We say cats, but we say dogs, dogs. If you look at the spelling, it's exactly the same thing, right? It's exactly the same letter. But when you pronounce these, this t is affecting the following sound, and this g is affecting or influencing the following sound. In which way? You may ask. T is, if you remember, in terms of voicing, voiceless. And g, if you remember, it is voiced. So t is voiceless, just like s is voiceless as well. G is voiced, just like z is voiced. So here we also have an example, right, of a process of assimilation in which the previous sound, t, is affecting the following one. So in this case, we have a case of assimilation that goes from left to right, from left to right. So this is called progressive assimilation, right? Is this partial or complete? I would say partial. Partial. Is it contiguous or not non-contiguous? They're next to each other, right? So it's contiguous. Okay. So other examples of phonological processes are dissimilation, epenthesis, elision, metathesis, among others, right? These are sort of like the main phonological process that we're going to be discussing. We started this general overview with assimilation. To recap, assimilation is one of the phonological processes that take place in English. Why is it important to be familiar with the features of connected speech or with these phonological processes? Basically, because it helps us to understand speakers of English, because sounds change, right? Sounds disappear, the orders change, sometimes new sounds are inserted, sometimes some sounds acquire some characteristics, or sometimes they lose some characteristics when we speak at a normal pace. So that's why it may affect your comprehension or your understanding, right? And also you can sound more natural, you can sound more native-like when you apply these phonological processes. Sometimes you already are applying them. Therefore, it's just trying to understand what's going on and have this technical language to describe what you're doing. Because essentially you might be also doing this, okay? And specifically, assimilation can happen within a word, as in the word pen, right? Or between words, as for example in the examples given before, in bath, right? Green boys, sorry, 10 boys, green bells, etc., etc. The assimilation can be partial or total, right? It can be contiguous or non-contiguous, and it can go from left to right, call it progressive, or from right to left, and you can call it regressive. Okay? In the next sessions, we're going to be discussing other features of connected speech. Probably next class, we might have some examples of assimilation, but then we're going to take a look at another one. Okay? Comments, questions, anything that you would like to mention before we finish the session?
No.
Okay, right. Um, it's I'm sorry if it's an interesting topic for at least for me, because you know, when you hear people, you actually can can think, oh, that person is using lots of linking. It's linking consonants to vowel sounds, or oh, that person is using lots of assimilation. It's not like every time I listen to someone I start thinking about that, but I'm very aware and conscious about this process, probably because I have to talk about this in class, right? But I'm sure it's going to be helpful, because whenever you listen to people, right, using English, they are going to be using some sort of feature of connected speech. Okay, so I'll see you on. Sorry, I have my. I don't have my schedule right here. I think it's on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not
Yes,
sure. Yes, on
Yes.
Friday. Yes. So on Friday, I think Miss Javiera is going to be here. I'm going to be here also, but I'm going to be a like a ghost, right? In case if there's any comment or question, I'm going to be there. Um, so I'll see you on Friday. Enjoy the rest of this cloudy but really comfortable day. Talk to you on Friday.
Thank
At
you,
least I'm
teacher.
going. At least I'm going to say hello to you. All right. Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay.
Good
See
evening.
you.